Yamhill County is known for its fine wine, but it could also be known for its fine art. The first 2 weekends in October, during the Art Harvest Studio Tour, artists in Yamhill County open their studios to the public. We visited with Shannon Ray, a well-known landscape painter in Sheridan.
Art Harvest Studio Tour, it's probably the best opportunity for the public at large to get a fair glimpse at the life of an artist, because you really want people to understand your artwork, children especially. You want to share that joy, that creative joy. You know, I don't know a time when I didn't paint. Well, I can tell you my formal training. I started my studies in California. I was going to be an architect. And I thought that's how you can be creative and earn money, right? Mm-hmm. Well, it wasn't even the finish of the first year when you had to take more formal painting experience classes than I'd ever taken before. This is, right out of high school. And I was totally enthralled and hijacked by the studio arts. You know what? It just, who wants to make money? I want to paint. But, as my career has evolved, I paint big murals, outdoors, indoor murals, big paintings. So I kind of think that the architecture is still there. It's a visual architecture. I mean, the whole art making. That's why I think I spend an awful lot of time teaching both adults and children, because kids particularly don't get that as much as our generation did. And how would they know if they're not exposed to it? And you never know who you're going to affect. That's the wonderful thing about it. I worked for 8 years with the Art and Education Department through the Polk, Yamhill, and Marion County, where I would go into a school with a whole school population and we would paint murals. Mm. And I learned so much from eager little third graders about the joy of painting. I mean, this is something they totally understand. This is what they do. This is how they experience art. One of the pieces I'm probably best known for is a 21-foot triptych at the Allison Hotel. There's a little giclée of it. And mind you, that expands 21 feet. It didn't fit in this studio. I was always shifting them back and forth, and when the weather permitted, I'd take it outside to see what it looked like. This happens to depict quite a bit of what I wanted in the painting. Mm-hmm. So this is the raw material. Mm-hmm. From the Coast Range to Mount Hood. From this, I painted a series of little tiny watercolor sketches to study specific things that I wanted in the painting. I don't want my paintings to be a duplication of the photograph. So this spot right here I thought very intriguing. But I'm not going to rely on the photograph. If I take the time to paint it and make some notes on the back, it will fix in my mind what I liked about this spot. And then later on, the photograph will serve as a reminder. But the fact that you actually look at something long enough to make decisions and paint it right there on site, I think gives the painting a little more validity. Here is the maquette for the big painting. It's a translation through 3 or 4 different types of media. And I am not going to rely on the photograph. I want to rely on my own interpretations of the scene. There was a point, yes, that I showed them the watercolor sketch, but they pretty much gave me a creative license, except for the palette. And the palette was dictated by the designer because of the whole scope of the hotel. And I don't mind. I don't mind working in a palette. It gives me, there's a challenge there. This painting, if you look at it, there was to be very little blue, or none. Now, as a landscape painter, blue and cool colors create space, and warm colors warm colors proceed, cool colors recede. And engineering a big painting is just that. It's engineering. And if you're going to go at it willy-nilly, you're going to make an abstract, and that's great. But to really translate something and make it an enduring work of art, I think a lot of engineering is imperative. This is how I create a painting. And there's specific steps. Again, it's back to the engineering, almost like an architect, to build a painting. And I found myself needing to be reminded of where I am in the process. The underpainting, here. Then I'm going to atmospheric underpaint. That's when you're going to hang it up on the wall, and you're going to let the colors be cools recede, warms proceed, still in the underpainting. And here you're going to do, create the perspective with color and texture, and you're going to keep a warm and cool balance. And then I'll lay on my darks. Think Elvis on velvet. I tell my students that. They get it. Because, you know, you got velvet painting, you got those darks. You lay the lights on there, and so you're letting the underpainting speak. So, and at the same time, you want to balance the cool and the warm, and the color and the mid-lights. And a lot of you don't want to rush the finish. The finish is in the beginning. It was told me by a wonderful artist that I took watercolor classes from. And so I have this list, 6 basic steps, to remind myself where I am in the process. I'll be very honest. You learn better when you teach. You learn better when you teach. And if you really want to get it solid in your own mind about what you're doing, the best way to do that is to translate it enough times and teach someone else to do it. Okay, that's the selfish reason. Then there's the altruistic reason. I want people to understand art. There's a creative energy that can be expressed in paint, or cooking, or crocheting, or gardening. Any of those endeavors. It's good for the human soul. I'm very interested in the images on an architectural applied surface, tile murals, things like that. And to the point where, again, it's that engineering challenge, I can go back, okay, the client wants a mural of a vineyard in their dining room, and the proportions are this and this, and their colors are this and this. Well, if you go back all the way to creating an original painting with that end product in mind, that's just another set of mind games. And I think with the digital applications of imagery, websites, book illustrations, I'm going to do, believe it or not, a series of children images of an old story that my grandmother used to tell me. Those kinds of things. Now I can tell my grandchildren the story, but if I actually, and I do have it in process, make a painting of Miss Nighty, and make that painting into a digital image, and turn that digital image into a series of tiles that hang in a child's room. You know, it's kind of an interesting evolution of a verbal story just through the hands of a creative person with the help of a digital media. This is the first time I ever saw my images translated into something else, something useful. When you go back to the whole bottom of it, it's the power of the image. The power of the image. You got a good image, you can translate it into different products that people can live with in their life. I think we are probably more involved with art in our whole general life more than anyone realizes, and there's no reason to be elitist about it. I want to bring art to everybody. One thing that I think visitors on the Art Harvest Tour might be learning, it's not an individual activity. It takes a family. It takes a partner or several partners. Gary's barbecued ribs are famous on the Art Harvest Tour, sometimes more famous than my paintings. But I think that goes to illustrate the fact that artists really can't live or operate their lives in a vacuum.